My name is Roberto Santillán Ruiz de Chavez, and alongside my partner Maria Fernanda Reyes Miramon, we designed a financing strategy for the Casa Kaná challenge. Okay, so in first place, we must understand who is Casa Kaná and what do they do. Casa Kaná is a family business. It was originated in the city of Cuautla, Morelos. It works as a supplier as well as, it dedicates itself to the architecture and landscaping ornaments, as well as the production of flowers and plants, etc. Besides this general information, we must also understand that it has a lot of different products that can go from horsetails, shells, succulents, orchids. However, the most important plant they produce is the African violet. Basically, what makes the African violet the main product of Casa Kaná is that the actual profit and the whole income, the African violets represent between the 70% and 90% of the income of the whole enterprise and the whole production of flowers. So, that's basically the reason we chose the African violets. It depends, of course, on the amount. However, we have right here the percentages and how relevant it was for the profits of the enterprise. And right now, my partner is going to explain you a bit about the production of Casa Kaná and their African violets.
As my partner said, now I will talk to you about the manufacturing flowchart of the African violet. First, they will separate leaves that will work as seedlings. When these seedlings grow, they will be selected and they will be moved to a tray to protect them from plagues. After that, they will transplant them into a 4-inch pot, and that's when they are ready to sell. This process has different costs, like the direct materials, the direct labor, and the factory overhead. The direct labor consists on wages to employees, the factory overhead, light, predial maintenance, water, and the direct materials are the flower pot, coastal debit moss, seedling violet, insecticides, fertilizers, etc. The duration of this process is of approximately 8 months and a half.
So having into account all the processes my partner just mentioned, we must also define what type of prices and costs they use for the raw materials and the production of the overall processes of the African violet. So firstly, you have 4 variable costs, which is the pots that you use for the flowers. It basically depends how much flowers you will be producing to know how much you will waste in this specific area, which are the pots, as well as the substrate, which is called agrolita, and the dipit mousse, which is something that depends, of course, on the quantity of plants they are producing, and as well, of course, the seedling of the violet, because we cannot define the cost of anything if we don't know how much violets we're producing. And in the fixed part right here in the table, you can see them. It's basically we're not going to dig a lot of time into it, because we already know that the fixed cost is basically eradicating the maintenance, the wages of the salaries, the light, the water, the predials, and some insecticides and fertilizants, among others.
Now we will analyze Casa Kaná's cash conversion cycle. We can observe that they can pay their suppliers in 9 days. On the other hand, they can convert their raw materials into finished materials in a period of 14 days according to their inventory conversion period. On their average collection period, we had the opportunity to compare 3 months, and we can observe that they are following their collection policies by giving a credit of 30 days. So now, knowing this, we can say that their cash and conversion cycle is good. They can convert their inventory into cash in 34.9 days, 35 days approximately.
So after having everything about the variable and fixed costs, we could define the cost profit volume analysis, in which the one we calculated many things besides the overall fixed cost, which we can see it right here in the table, as well as the unit price, which we use the retail price, which was 19 pesos. We also calculated the variable costing, which is right here of 5.012 pesos, on a unit contribution margin of almost 14 pesos. The break-even point units would be of 1,233 units in order to achieve, not generate neither profit or loss in their overall statement. And in the break-even point sales, we had 23,423. Of course, having to count all the plants they produce, which is this one, we actually got to the conclusion that Casa Kaná is not losing a lot of money. Actually, they're producing more than they should. After that, we did a marginal analysis. In first place, we actually wanted to know a bit more about Casa Kaná in the presence on the state of Morelos, because, well, it's actually like a really small state, so like you can go from Cuernavaca to Cuautla in just like 30 minutes. So we actually think that we should define a lot of its presence inside the whole state of Morelos. So we made a overall poll of people between 15 years old and 79 years old. In the one they mentioned how they felt about Casa Kaná, if they knew about it, how was the presence. We compared it to other competitors of Casa Kaná, which was, for example, Viveros Anaya and Flores y Miel, which are some of the strongest competitors right there. So having that into account, Casa Kaná was actually the least known of all the competitors in Morelos, which was something actually really concerning, because actually we can see that they have a lot of production. They haven't presented a lot of loss. However, they actually should get to more clients.
After knowing what my partner said, that we do not have the presence that we expected, we tried to find a way to get that presence. And we found out that with the problem that we have, which is coronavirus, the online sales are increasing in an enormous way. So that's why we wanted to get into the e-commerce. Also, we found out that they are producing more than they are selling. So with this information, we got two solutions. They could produce less African violets, or they could find a way to sell these overproduced African violets. Also, it is important to say that this web page will not be an extra cost, because there are ways to make a web page for free. And also, this is a way to get known around the country, and with the profits that the web page produces, we recommend it to use it for marketing to expand the clients, and that way to increase the sales.
Okay, so after that we designed a scenario analysis in order to know what would be like the overall income expected if the sales increased actually, and the whole profit Casa Kaná would produce. So we actually think that the expected would be of 10%. We didn't go to 20% because right now we're living in a situation where we cannot expect a lot of growth in companies. The optimistic one, we found it up 20%, which is these results right here. And well, the pessimistic, which is realizing the economy of the country, how the GDP is falling and everything like that, we would think that it would decrease at 10% with the percentages we have right here. So with that scenario analysis, we actually want to expect what would Casa Kaná gain in case of having effective strategies and financing, among others.
So now, in terms of investment and financing, we found out that the best option is to invest, because getting a credit will only give more debt to the company. And within the investment, we found out that the best option is Cetes Directo, because it is a safe way and also in a short term. The term that we decided is for 29 days, where you can obtain a yield rate of 6.23% annual or 0.52% monthly.
So basically, in my own conclusion, I got to say that e-commerce is actually a really good strategy, because having into account the actual context that there's a global pandemic that doesn't allow people to go out, I think Casa Kaná should actually find a way to sell the things they're overproducing. So with this web page, we actually are searching for a way Casa Kaná can get to be known by more people, besides not only like promoting stuff. And basically that's it.
In conclusion, with what we are proposing, I can say that this is the best way to increase sales, and at the same way do not increase costs. So this way the company will have more profit and could use this money to invest, or, like I said, on marketing.